I'm Katie Allman reporting for Katie Chats in downtown Toronto. I'm here with actor, writer, producer Michael James Regan of Backlash. What inspired you to write and produce this film about a young autistic man, and who exactly in your life inspired you to play this character?
I'd say the inspiration came from the fact that, first of all, I always liked thrillers. I've always loved thrillers. I think thrillers are the most complex thing to write, mainly because of all the intricacies in a thriller. The film came from the fact that I have I mean, it's kind of answers two questions in one. I mean, I have a family friend who's autistic. He has Asperger's, but it's a little bit more on the opposite side, so he's very loud, he's very obnoxious, but when he's not, when he calms down, he has trouble talking to people. It's really odd because he's kind of on two levels. And I thought about, first of all, the character came to me first. The film kind of came through a few things. I always wanted to make a heist movie of some sort, but not in your typical heist. I was like, what would be realistic? But also, as a movie, what is realistic? And Backlash is a very realistic film. It's not over the top in any way. It's realistic, but I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make a film that can inspire people to think big, which is kind of odd because I know a lot of writers, they write for a specific reason in terms of they have a thought process of what they want to tell a story, and I did. But I also thought, what is a story that I can tell that also shows people that, you know what, you don't have to sit there and make a piece of a film. Make a film. Make a start, beginning, middle, and end. And it kind of just, it came to me. I'll be honest, I was writing, and it's the first time I've ever written. I've never written before in my life, which is weird, because the first thing you always tell yourself, if it's not something you normally do, is, I can't do that. I don't know what I'm doing. But realistically, I think Backlash is a perfect example for everyone. You can do a lot more things than you think you can when you really put your mind down to it, and it kind of just came through the process. I mean, I started writing it, and I started writing a concept based on a heist, and I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Most people write based on locations that they have. I wrote on locations that I wanted. And
you had some amazing locations in this film. How did you get these locations and these people on board?
I'd love to say that it was contacts, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who they are. You still have to sell them on the project. My brother, Sam Regan, who owns SR Contracting, he is very resourceful. He knows a lot of people because he does a lot of work. But it came down to, he was able to help me secure the auto body shop and all these places. And at the end of the day, we had a 100,000 square foot warehouse. I mean, it wasn't small. The house wasn't small. It's a huge estate, 62-acre estate. It came down to selling the concept that, I mean, first of all, we're in Canada. A lot of people don't want to. Film is the odd child out. Like, it's not something that people know a lot about. People don't want to finance. It's not very. People are like, oh, I might have money, but I don't want to get involved in that, or this is something I don't know anything about it. Because in the States, it's primarily everyone knows about film. Mm-hmm. People get approached all the time for locations or money.
What do you think it was about the film that really hooked people about the concept?
That it wasn't your normal short, for sure. That it wasn't going for a 10-minute short that was small in concept. That's what I believe also, but it was also had a really good twist at the end, but also it had realistic characters and unique characters. I mean, obviously the autistic character that I play, Spencer, it's complete contrast with the entire film, and I did that on purpose because you want a film that's realistic, but also you're just like, okay, I was not expecting that or this or that. You don't want a film where it's just like you can kind of predict everything. You can't predict anything in Backlash, so I think that's why, and I think that's why the locations really. They came through, and it was hard. They're not easy, but you have to believe in yourself more, like 100 times more than you really believe in yourself. You really have to put yourself out there and expect to hear no. And I'm willing to hear no from anybody. You can't have shame. You should be completely shameless. You go approach anybody. There should be no reason why you should, I suppose.
And you portrayed the character of Spencer as, he incidentally has autism, but you portrayed him as such a sort of strong and badass character, which isn't often how we see these types of characters portrayed.
No.
What inspired you to make Spencer such a strong, compelling guy?
It's pretty much exactly what you said. It's not done. It's the same thing with. This is kind of a thing to do with the next film, but I write strong female roles too. I don't think the character or the gender really matters. I think it just, to be honest, I know, like I said, I mean, you watch movies like I Am Sam, Rain Man, they're always the victim. They're always the victim. And yes, in this film, he's the victim, certainly. But I just didn't want to play a character that's based on his disabilities, really, because autism doesn't limit you as a person. There's autistic savants. There's people that are geniuses. There's a kid, Jake. He's like 14, winning a Nobel Peace Prize. There's nothing that I felt that just because you have those doesn't mean you can't be strong. You can't be a strong character in real life. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can overcome anything. It doesn't matter what disability, what you have, And then people obviously take for granted when they don't have disability and they don't want to overcome something. It's like, well, imagine you having autism and being sheltered, not, and trying to impress a girl. Mm-hmm. That's extremely challenging beyond everything. But the fact that he goes for it is just, it's monumental. But it's also, I don't see why people don't go for routes like that. It's just every character should be strong in some way, even if they're strong as a victim. Mm-hmm. I just don't see people needing to be weak for no reason. I guess I don't know.
And you had a tremendous cast on board of this film. Ellen Dubin, Sean Kaufman, John Tench.
Sean Kaufman is brilliant.
What was the casting process like?
It started off with the vision, obviously. I already, when I write the script, I already have a role for everybody. Like I mean, I'm acting out every single role in my house while I'm writing, because it's not about just writing. I act the roles out, so I'm like, exactly, like, what would John Tench be saying? Like, when I approached John Tench was the first person I approached, and he really loved the concept. He also doesn't play a lot of roles like that, which is weird because you think he would, mm-hmm. but he doesn't. He gets casted as usually just complete opposite, and he loved it. But it was also, I tailor the scripts to the actor. Once I secure an actor, I also change the dialogue completely to them. I see how they read it, and I change it, because I don't see why you wouldn't. They're the actor playing it. Like, I approached them. I wrote to everybody. You have to be very confident in the concept. Like I said, this is going to be huge. Mm-hmm. I said, it's a huge concept. Obviously, one day it can be a feature. Mm-hmm. And it was just, this is not a short. I'm not going for a short. I'm not doing a 10-minute film. I don't want it to be a 10-minute film. That doesn't accomplish anything. And not that shorts don't. They do. They do extremely well. And hey, you look at Saw. But it's just, my idea behind it is, if I'm going to make a film, I want to show people I can make a feature, not a short. Because a short doesn't show you can make a feature. Not that it's not worthwhile to do, and I will do them. I will definitely do 10-minute shorts and everything else, but it's just, for me, I was like, I'm going to do a 30-minute film. Going to do it. And when I told told all the cast, and I approached them one by one, and I went through some agencies, and I got Hannah Anderson from GGA, and she's extremely talented, and the agency just, they were blown away by the approach, but also they had read the script and they were like, this is not your normal short film that they get, because they get submissions all the time. They said this is worthwhile, and that's what it comes down to, is whether or not it's worthwhile for them, and worthwhile for everyone as a whole. So it was really just reaching out and having a good concept and having a great vision and end goal, and also believing enough in yourself to be like, this is not going to waste your time, because no one wants to waste time on a short or any film and be like, well, I'm not getting anything out of this, it's a waste of my time. So it was easier than I think I want to say it was easier than it appears, because it is, really. I mean, if you just got to ask. You can't be afraid of no. That's all.
And you had some amazing action sequences and stunts in this film. Is that something that you're going to carry with you to your next project?
Neil Davison, my stunt coordinator, who's doing the Batman video games right now, very talented, the most humble guy you'll ever meet. Yes and no. It was action, but it was also my take on violence. I don't see action as having to be one type of thing. It doesn't have to be kung fu. It doesn't have to be this. It can be just violence. I will definitely carry it over into my films, because I will always be using Neil. I know he wants to work with me, and I want to work with him. And it's a field that I'm very strongly attached to. I don't do stunts myself, but I'm a very physical person, and I do the occasional stunt. So for me, I'm attached. I know a lot of stunt guys. I know the field. I love action films, and I was like, well, how can I also fit it into this film, make it appropriate, but also I know that everyone loves a good action, not film, but good action sequences. It's always nice. It's always adrenaline rushing. So I will definitely bring it to the next film. However, the next film is more focused on the thriller aspect, but there is action stuff in regards to like car chases and stuff like that. A little bit bigger, but it's also different. It's more about the story. This one, it just fit. And I will definitely carry it on and definitely work with some of those stunt guys again. You know, obviously it depends on their availability because they're all very talented and going somewhere. So.
And as someone who works with my mother, I learned that you also worked very closely with your amazing mother as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that relationship and the importance of having her there as a support for you?
Wow, that's you're gonna bring me back to yesterday where I got all emotional. Well, I think that's really touching, to be honest. I mean, my mom has always believed in me. She believed in my brother as well. Any field that we wanted to do, we wanted to be the best garbage man. Hey, go for it. Own a company or something. You know, do whatever you want to do. My mother is a very unique woman because she kind of been a jack of all trades in her life. Like, she used to do real estate. She went in, at one point she went into PR, and she went into owning a personnel company, event planning, and advertisement. So she's kind of been all over the place, and she's very, very, I want to say, keen on noticing talent. Not just in me. I mean, she said, my mom was very strict. She's like, if you weren't talented, trust me, I wouldn't be helping you. Because she's like, because I would be lying to you. So when I want to go for something, she helps full throttle. I mean, like when I show her a face of somebody or somebody that I want and I show them the work, she'll be like, yeah, I can see why you want that character as that, or why you want Shamir as Troy, or why you want John Tench as this. She sees it. She also helps, she's great to pass ideas off of. Like, I can bounce ideas with writing. And she may not be able to write, but she can tell me what makes more sense or what's more cinematic. And she's always been there, and she's very supportive. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, I wish every parent was. I mean, some are, some aren't. And you just, having a good relationship with your parents like that just keeps you grounded, because I mean, you're working hard at something that, you know, it's a hard industry, but it keeps you going forward and knowing you're doing the right thing. And I mean, she was awesome. I mean, she also was really good with, she's just as resourceful as my brother. She can get me locations. I mean, because the funny thing is, I keep telling people too, everyone knows 5 people. That's a general saying. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows locations. If you go outside your box and then you go up to anybody and say, do you know, randomly, do you know a jewelry store? They might say, I don't, but my friend's cousin does, and he owns one. It's like, okay, well, you wouldn't have thought about that unless I asked you. You don't know what you know until.
And where's the best place for us to find out more information on Backlash and you as an actor and your upcoming projects, your features online?
It would be facebook.com/backlashpictures. That's where I'm going to be posting every single update. I like to keep everyone involved. I think it's very important, and it also inspires other people to create and create and go out there. And you can also find me on Twitter. I'm new at Twitter, but it's twitter.com/backlashpics with a PICS. And that's right now. That's it. I mean, if people want to add me personally on Facebook, you can do that as well. I'm very approachable, and it's funny because at this point I know people have approached me just as of today and last night at my Facebook and everything. My email is blown up with people asking me questions, and people that I know in the industry that I respect asking me questions like, how did you do this? How should I do this? Do you want to be part of my project? Can you produce this? It's pretty funny, and like that's less than a night. So it's very inspiring to inspire people that usually probably don't get very easily inspired. I mean, I had one. This is one quote, and I want to say this because Craig, who played the guy who goes through the table. Oh, spoiler, not really. But he said to me last night, he doesn't get he doesn't give respect a lot, but because he can do so many things. He's so talented, and he said to me, "But you did something last night that I can't do, and I respect that." And that was emotional for me because I've looked up to people for so long, and to have somebody that looks up at me. Yeah, I mean, he's 6 feet, so he looks down at me. But to look up at me and have all these messages and all the people ask me questions and give me the resumes, and it's really cool because people believe that if I put my name on something and say it's going to be good, they can trust me. And that's what I've really wanted to always develop, was just people trust, giving, because I think everyone should have that, and yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's inspiring to talk to such a passionate young filmmaker, and I'm excited to see what you do next.
It's mutual. I mean, I'm impressed. Everything you do is impressive. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
It's mutual.
Thank you. I'm Katie Ullman reporting for Katie Chats in downtown Toronto.